Yes.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Redefining Success, Envisioning a New American Dream. I am thrilled to be sharing a lovely conversation with Kim Bria, who is running for City Council in West Linn, known as Kim For West Linn. Welcome, Kim.
Thank you, Suzie.
It's such a pleasure. So I've known Kim for over 5 years, and I have seen incredible transformational growth personally, professionally, and now to be able to support you, Kim, and be a stand for you, I'm inspired to interview you, have this conversation. I feel your passion, your conviction, and it is really an honor to support you. And so I'm creating this so that you can share it with your community and we can spread the word to vote for Kim for West Linn. I want to begin by asking you, how did you first find out about politics?
Very, very early age. I don't remember not not having politics as a theme. My great grandfather was held a local office. I didn't know him, but and then an uncle was also in political office, and so there was political conversations around different family members that we were related to. And I lived in a very small town, so the community connection was very strong. You had to know your neighbors, and politics was, it was a conversation with the weather. So it was talking about those decisions that influence our lives every day.
Mm. And when did you become an activist? When did that really come out for you?
Activist is, as far as having the courage to run for this office, it's been percolating over the last few years and witnessing how our local government runs, and it's a reflection of the national conversation. And watching, I've been voted in every election I can since I was old enough to vote. So watching how politics run, and I really got fired up and inspired to run because I can see how to make a difference, and I know how to do that. In the past, I knew that something had to happen, but I didn't know how to make that change. I didn't know how I could influence, and now that's why I'm running, because I have that experience. I have relevant experience, and I know how to step in right now and get to work and work with people to make good decisions for my community.
How did you first discover the power of your voice or that voting makes a difference?
I recall many years ago, I voted for something that I thought was a good thing, and it turned out that it wasn't what I thought or most people thought it was, and it really impacted me in being responsible with my voice and how it makes a difference. And then in leadership roles, I've been witness to the decisions I make and the influence I have in making a difference around me. And I've always held that with great responsibility. Even when it's been doing fun things, I used to teach skating, and I find out later how much it changed a student's life. And it was very humbling to know that I had that much influence without realizing it. So, like I would tell any kids, any influence you have, any power you have, use it for good.
Mm-hmm. What would you say actually to people who don't feel a sense of belonging to the community?
That they are welcome and that they do belong. And I'm committed to finding ways to help people connect. When I moved here in 97, I didn't feel welcome. I didn't feel unwelcome. I felt like, because I had lived here my whole life, people weren't interested and I didn't belong. Kind of felt like I didn't belong in the clubhouse. And it took some effort on my part to find ways to connect with my community. And I don't want to see people have to go through Herculean efforts to belong. So there's a way, and there's a lot of people in this community that really do welcome everyone that lives here.
That's wonderful. Really a kind of no, I think that's really important. What I hear and what you're saying with community is that no one's left behind. So even if you're feeling not part of it, or um, you don't know how to belong or anything, it's just begin by connecting. What do you feel like is most essential? Like, are the most essentials for the building blocks of a sustainable community?
What's most essential is that everyone sees their own contribution in it.
Mm-hmm.
I was talking to a super volunteer yesterday, Mike Waters, and he's been very involved in the community and getting members, finding ways for people to connect with volunteerism and where they are. And we were talking about episodic volunteering. And the example he gave was a woman with a small child in groceries offering to help take her cart back at the grocery store. Those are small acts, and it's about giving where you can, what you can,
Mm-hmm.
and when you can. And that's where people start feeling, oh, I do belong here. There's somebody I don't even know that's extending grace to me and looking out for me. So it's incremental in our everyday lives and being intentional
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
that we want everybody to feel like they belong
Mm-hmm.
as much as we want to belong.
So, one of the reasons I also am compelled to have this conversation with you is because I see that what your vision is for West Linn is a microcosm for what can happen with other communities within America. I'd like to open the conversation, direct it to let's talk a bit about the old American dream and what envisioning a new West Linn or American dream looks like. Can you go into that a little more detail?
Yes. So the quick summary of the old American dream, which was post World War II, was a house in the suburbs with a white picket fence and a car in the driveway, and dad's working and mom's at home, and you have two kids and there's cookies waiting, and mom's got fresh lipstick on when she gets home, and there's newspaper there and slippers for dad while he smokes his pipe. That might be a little Norman Rockwell, but that old American dream was that everybody had what they needed, and in a home and security, and people had jobs that they could retire from and get the gold watch after working somewhere for 25 or 50 years. The new American dream is something that we're envisioning together, and that starts with having your basic needs met: food, shelter, clothing. And so having um, a sense of place, so whether that's renting or owning, that there's a roof over your head, and that you have a place that's safe to come home, that you're safe in your community. We've had policing issues nationally where people don't feel safe walking in their neighborhoods or driving, and that's essential, is feeling safe where you are and going about your daily life, that kids feel safe in school,
Mm-hmm.
um, that parents aren't worried about what their child's experience is every day. So safety is a big one, but if we're on high alert all the time and worried about our experiences of travel or interacting with people, then it really skews meeting your other basic needs.
Mm-hmm.
And the third leg of that is financial stability,
Mm-hmm.
is knowing that you have the means and the way to support your family and to support yourself. Because even if you have a home, you still have to, make the mortgage payment on that and pay taxes and contribute to your community. So having those opportunities for people to be able to support and sustain themselves, and the pandemic has just shown us, um, helped us reflect on what our values are and what's important to us, and how do we help ourselves and help each other in moving forward in reimagining what is the American dream.
Absolutely. And, you know, you talk about the basics, really, it sounds like getting back to the basic building blocks of a community. These are just what is it, Maslow's hierarchy theory, the very, very bottom, like the very, very basics of survival. So really what I'm hearing also is really this transformation of West Linn that could again happen on a macro level. of being able to transform into a community where those needs are met. Those are essential. No one's left behind. Homelessness isn't a thing. Kids are safe to go to school. Parents are assured that safety is as much as possible, that safety is something that is prioritized within a community. So it seems that because we're having to go back to the basic building blocks of community, all communities right now, whatever community you're part of, that we've lost focus of these basics, which are so essential. So what have we been focusing on that has been taking us away from what matters?
Being disconnect. We've been focusing outside. And I think, especially before the pandemic, what's really come up that I see is that we've been focused on external things and chasing external things, and um, you know,
The old
looking
American dream, right?
right.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because it's so elusive.
Mm.
And so it's like, what is this vision? What are we working for? What do I have to, why does anyone have two jobs to make ends meet? What is it that you're pursuing?
Mhm.
So
And a
I
lot of dreams, um, broken dreams. So I think a lot of hopelessness, which again also goes down the track of not feeling belonging and feeling disconnected. So I'm definitely hearing these real strong values that are necessary in rebuilding these communities: connection, belonging, making effort to cultivate that in our lives and within the community. And something I love that you had shared before we were having this interview was, I really noticed that is very much ingrained in you from when you're very young. That when you're, I think you had, you mentioned you're from a small town. So when you're part of that, you develop this belief system that it's important to serve the community and to create a community that is better than how you entered into it. So, what do you think contributed to those, just having those core values? Was there anyone in your life that said that to you? Was it experiential? What gave you that kind of, because not everybody has that servient kind of mentality. A lot of them want the other. They want to, not serve, they want to be served. So where did that notion come in for you, that you need to be of service to the community? And how did you become of service to the community when you grew up with that belief system?
it wasn't like it was an option. It felt like it was just something that was required of everyone. I
Mm-hmm.
grew up in a farming community, a rural community, and the dynamic in a small town is not different than a town of this size or a major city. You have people that that have their social circles that connect with each other, and then you have people that may not like each other. There's people that don't like people, and even when you have, and when you're in a small community, you may have neighbors that don't like each other, but they still respect each other. And then when there's a snowstorm or the electricity's out, even the people that are antisocial or hardcore introverts will still come knocking on your door and say, "Are you warm? Do you need anything? We've got some extra food, or can you help us?"
Mm-hmm.
So it was really a means of, I mean, it was like a core survival. We had a volunteer fire department. That means if there's a fire, it's volunteers that are coming to a call to action very quickly to make sure that nobody loses their home. So we're very interdependent on each other. And for most days, you didn't need the neighbors, but when you did, um, that wasn't a question. So that sense of service was a way of being,
Mm-hmm.
and I think there's a lot of people that are still like that, but we've just kind of lost touch with that because life is demanding, and
Mm-hmm.
our world is demanding, and the technology changes, our planetary changes are happening rapidly, and you can't focus on every single problem. It's overwhelming.
Mm-hmm. Mhm.
So finding those ways of just knowing what neighbors need help, or being aware of what your community needs, what
Get
you
to
need.
know your neighbors. That's a
Yes.
huge thing I'm hearing. Get to know your neighbors.
Yes, I mean, like do you have anyone you can borrow a cup of sugar from? And I think we saw that during the early COVID on our online community. Some people were like, I just need 2 eggs, you know, and I can't get to,
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
can't get to the
Letting
store.
go of all these, we've gotten so far away. I know, personally, I've experienced, in my work, seeing my clients, and personally, it can be hard to ask for help. We've almost become a society that's become shameful about that. And I just had a massive breakthrough recently that was like, oh my gosh, no, it's a gift, to help each other. It really is a gift. It doesn't matter if you're the receiver or whatever end you're on it, it's a gift. The exchange is a gift. So when we get out of this, being shameful or too prideful to ask for help, that's what's creating the disconnect. So, yeah, allowing ourselves to be more open again and getting back to that community, which again sounds like, that's what this is calling. A lot of what's happening in our world is calling us to get back to the basics of how we even started as a species. It's coming back together as community. Um, um, so I'm curious, do you have a question for like a common question that you ask your citizens when you're I know you go to farmers markets and you're very engaged with the city members, people that are highly influential, whether they're frontline entrepreneurs, anyone off the street, or anyone again in the the city politics. Is there a question that you want to know from the citizens right now, or a question that you want to ask them?
I'm sure there is. I need a moment of, um, I have so many questions. I do ask people what drew them here. I'm very interested in what drew people here. If they're, for that sense of belonging. And our natural beauty is number one in our schools. So those are the kind of things I hear of what drew people here. I'm interested in what keeps people here, and how they envision this city moving forward, because a lot of people love being here. I hear bedroom community all the time, and which is a reference to, this is where people go after their workday to go home, instead of having that central community. And we're geographically separated too. So I'm very interested in what people would like to this community to feel like.
Mm-hmm.
And because it's changing, we've got a lot of growth, things are changing around us, and the change is happening. It's not something we can avoid.
Mm-hmm.
So as we grow with our region, how do they want this city to look,
Mm-hmm.
and what do they need living here?
Oh, I love that. Yeah. What do you need living here? That is wonderful. And again, these questions you're asking to the citizens of West Linn are the same questions we can be asking ourselves no matter what community that we're in. So thank you so much for taking the time to answer these questions and to have this conversation. Most importantly, like I said, it's here to inspire others in some way. I'm not hugely political, to be quite honest, which is why part of that question, that first one, was a personal one for me, because, finding the power of our voice and the power of our actions and the power of community is what can transform our world, I believe. So, taking it small and then going big. So, thank you so much. How can anyone in West Linn vote for you? How can they learn more about you?
My website, www.kimforwestlinn.com, and my Facebook page is also linked to that website. And I'm sorry, before you were asking how they could learn about me, what was the
Oh, how can
previous?
they vote? Like, yeah. So, voting is coming up. for city council spots. So is there
A
any?
lot of people have voted already. So
Okay.
get your ballot and please make sure you vote all the way down the ballot. Historically, in major election years like this one with the presidential election, some people are confused and they don't vote local. They don't vote on the measures. So it's important to get your voters pamphlet out, look at candidates' websites, and vote all the way down so that your voice is represented in your community.
Wonderful. Well, thank you again, Kim. It's lovely as always. I'm a huge supporter of you, and I just want to honor you and taking this time and being such a force to be reckoned with in your community in this world. Thank you.
Thank you, Suzie.